Okay, Michael Falcon, thank you for joining us at this discussion forum.
Thank you for having me.
It's a very interesting discussion we had today, and I'm very curious. We've covered a lot of areas, right? Yeah. But in a nutshell, can you share with us some of the challenges that we face in this region in terms of the retirement landscape?
Look, I think the biggest challenge is the convergence of demographics and older age populations with the explosion of economic development and wealth creation in the region over the last 20 years. And so we have a lot more older people who are at or closer to retirement age, who are living at a much higher level of consumption and lifestyle. And I think people understandably want to retire in dignity and live a life in some proximity to the life that they were living while they were working.
We have challenges, but at the same time we see opportunities. What opportunities do you see?
Well, I think the opportunities are equally as vast. We have a burgeoning industry with a lot of access and demand for better products and better solutions. And I think the time right now is really important for individuals to get advice, to get quality advice from a trained advisor, and to increasingly focus on portfolio construction. Why are they investing? What's the outcome that they want? And how do they build a portfolio of high quality funds that's going to meet those needs over the long term?
And JP Morgan Asset Management has been in this industry for many, many years. What is the positioning you have and the strategy you have to capture this opportunity?
Well, all of our strategies from an investor perspective begin with market insights and our view on market fundamentals and long-term investing principles. And that builds to our investor education materials, how we work with intermediaries and train them, and ultimately it leads into how we develop products and manage money. We're looking through cycles for investing, and we always manage with risk at the forefront. A risk management framework is at the core of everything we do. So whether that's in a solution product that is multi-asset and very dynamic, or a specific asset class in equities or fixed income, we're bringing the same discipline in terms of product and management to bear.
No, it's a very crowded industry. More people are coming in to offer services in the retirement space. And what do you see is JP Morgan's advantage?
Well, I think our advantage is the breadth of our capabilities and experience. We've been in the investment management business for a long time. We've been in the multi-asset and investment solutions business for a long time. So again, whether it's a more complete product set or an individual component, we understand how funds should be behaving within a portfolio, what they're going to be used for. And we're hopeful that we can manage those in a very disciplined and effective way in terms of getting the right risk-adjusted returns. And I also believe we can support them through distribution in a way that makes them meaningful to end clients.
One of the markets we talked about today is China. China's requirements and the demographic challenges that they face going forward. What do you see are the opportunities in the China's pension market?
Well, I think the China pension market is going to go through a lot of changes over the coming decades. Again, a very, very large and aging population, an explosion of wealth and wealth creation over the past 2 decades. Certainly growth that's slowing, but still very substantial in terms of GDP on a year-on-year. The percentages are down, but the absolute numbers are actually still very, very big. And so I think there's opportunity for investing within Chinese pensions and in first and second pillar models to diversify, to internationalize, to expand their risk management framework. But I also think that has to come with the development of the private sector and third pillar sectors. And so that the individual Chinese investor has better access to products and information and a solution that works with their first and second pillar components.
Now, one of the interesting points also we touched on is the fact that Asia is quite unique in the sense that a lot of people tend to have a slightly shorter term outlook and a preference for property investments, for example. How does it work and how do you move the needle so people start thinking of the long term?
Yeah, so I think part of that's going to happen naturally with comfort in the system and as these markets develop. I think historically, when you're dealing with very fast-growing economies with higher levels of inflation, again with younger populations, the idea that more could be in cash because you were going to be earning more next year and the year after that, investing in funds because funds typically went up, and so that there was a lot of reinforcing behavior. I think as that shifts and we get into a lower for longer term environment, the population's age get closer to that transition and retirement scenario, I think behaviors start to change and mirror that. I think the last piece that has to happen is a lessening of the emphasis on property, particularly individual residential property, not so much your own residence, but another housing flat that perhaps relatives or friends rent out. And I think valuations there can be tricky through various cycles, but we would look for investors to be more broadly diversified and to have more money, less money on deposit in cash and more money at work in a broader diversified portfolio. I think that's going to be good for more stable and predictable returns and less volatility along the way.
One last question, how important is the role of government in addressing the challenges facing this region in terms of an aging population?
Well, I think the government plays and the regulators play an important role in terms of setting policy and tone, but I think all parts of the system need to work together. I think that's the public sector and the private sector, how plans are developed and how the individual investors gain access and have access to the market. So hopefully JP Morgan, through our Market Insights program, through the work that we're doing on retirement, can be helpful in that regard. And we certainly spend a lot of time with our clients and our distribution partners working on education, making sure that the right conversations can have, to take emotion out of the conversation, to make rational investment decisions over the long term, balanced and diversified portfolios.
Michael Falcon, thank you very much for your time, CEO of JP Morgan Asset Management. We've been discussing about the challenges of the aging population here at the Asset Forum, and we thank all of you for watching.